Choosing to be authentic is unfamiliar territory for many of us, so it's not surprising that a lot of people avoid being authentic for many different reasons. Stay tuned to the end of this video because not only am I going to share the reasons that people avoid being authentic, but I'm also going to share some special tips and mindset shifts that you might consider if you can relate to any of them. Welcome to the BU channel, where we do a deep dive into personal development and look at it through the lens of authenticity. I am Safiya, author of the book BU, Your Life Depends on It, the original volume, and the Transformation Journal. Now let's talk about the 7 reasons people avoid being authentic. The first reason people avoid being authentic is shame and guilt. Many of us know that deep down we're not living authentically and we're not being true to ourselves. This can lead to underlying feelings of shame and guilt. And as a result, that might push us into behaviors that cause us to avoid self-reflection, such as having an overactive social life where we avoid as much time alone as possible so we're not left alone to our thoughts. But shame and guilt are an inevitable part of your personal development journey. Truth be told, a lot of the time, those feelings might be the catalyst for you starting your personal development journey. Because in reality, these feelings might feel terrible, and they do, but they're not inherently a bad thing. The shame and guilt you feel from not being authentic are actually indicators that you need to change. There's something in your thinking, your habits, your behaviors that you need to change, and that is where those feelings are coming from. And what's more is that those feelings show you exactly what you need to change and where in your life you need to make these improvements. So it's important that you take things slowly and you provide a safe, judgment-free zone for yourself to analyze your thoughts, behaviors, and patterns of thinking, so you can make these improvements rather than judging yourself and feeling that shame and guilt unnecessarily. The second reason people avoid being authentic is fear of change. As you dig deep and discover more and more about yourself, you'll inevitably conclude that some areas of your life need to make improvements. And as creatures of habit, typically we don't like change. And it's understandable, it can be incredibly scary and difficult to detach yourself from habits, lifestyles, and patterns that have been ingrained in us for our entire lives. But you and I both know that the only way to grow is through change. The only thing standing in the way of you taking your current life and transforming it into the life you truly want and deserve is your willingness to change your environment, your lifestyle, your habits, your character. That is the only thing. So don't wait for the fear to dissipate. Start taking those baby steps now and work your way back to who you are supposed to be, because who you're supposed to be can get what you truly deserve. The third reason people avoid being authentic is discomfort. Since our childhood, we've practiced hiding and shrinking parts of ourselves that those around us dislike in order to be included, accepted, and tolerated by them. We've become so comfortable living as shadows of our real selves that it's practically become our second nature. So suddenly when you decide to stop shrinking yourself, live out loud and be yourself unapologetically, it comes with some discomfort. And as we've just talked about, any change and growth is going to come with discomfort, or growing pains, you might call them. It's natural. But consider the alternative. If you hid your authentic self forever, you would have no idea what your true potential would look like. Those around you would have no idea who you really are. You would have no idea who you really are. You have to choose what reality you want to live in. The fourth reason people avoid being authentic is to avoid accountability. Being authentic means radical honesty with yourself. It also means calling out any negative patterns that might be holding you back. This can make you feel exposed, but it can also negatively affect your perception of self. But only if you tend to judge yourself quite harshly, and if you're unwilling to overcome that fear of change we just spoke about. This is why it is abundantly important for you to hold that safe space for yourself. It's important that you have a judgment-free zone where you can reflect on your mistakes, unpack them, but most of all, learn from them. That is the key. Once you know that you can learn from your mistakes and come away from them a better person, that's when you stop judging yourself as much. And the less judgmental you are to yourself, the less concerned you'll be with judgment from other people, and the more liberated you'll feel to just be you. The fifth reason people avoid being authentic is fear of vulnerability. Choosing to embrace the authentic you and only aspiring to be the best version of yourself can make you feel vulnerable because you're allowing the world to judge the real you. But the truth is, no one's thinking about us as much as we think they are. Most people are more concerned about their own self-image and how they're being judged. They're not spending much of their attention on how you're being judged and your self-image. And another truth is that people are going to judge you regardless of whether you're wearing a mask or if you're just being yourself. They're always going to judge you from their own lens, through the lens of their experience, their background, or their own prejudice. So it's never going to be an accurate depiction of who you really are. So it's important that you just focus on what matters the most, which is your perception of yourself. Do you have high self-esteem? Do you show yourself self-love every single day? Do you have a high self-worth? That is what truly matters most. The sixth reason people avoid being authentic is rejection. When you show others small glimpses of the real you and you're met with harsh judgment and rejection instead of warmth and acceptance, it's a horrible feeling. But understand this, you are different. You were created with a special purpose. They might not understand this and they might not like the real you, but you were not put here to be liked by everyone. You weren't put here to have to prove your existence to other people, and you definitely are not here to hide behind masks. Rejection hurts, it does, but why value the opinions of other people who don't even want to try and understand you? When you come across the right people, they'll value your authenticity. They'll accept and appreciate who you are as much as you do. The seventh reason people avoid being authentic is trauma. When you've had past experiences that didn't work out, despite your best efforts to stay true to yourself, it can cause you to blame and subsequently abandon your own authenticity. Situations such as bullying, especially social bullying, where you've had to endure the silent but collective rejection from your peers, or maybe a bad breakup, where despite giving it your all, you still felt that you weren't enough. These situations can cause your mind to turn on itself. It can make you believe that being authentic, being you, is unsuccessful and unsafe. But know this, your authenticity was not the source of your pain. It might have been other people's lack of maturity or their negative intentions, or maybe it was your inability to discern at the time or your lack of boundaries. But it was not your authenticity that caused you pain. Affirm it right now in the comments below. Authenticity was not the cause of my pain. But what I want you to do now is go deep, really deep, and understand what happened and extract the lessons from the trauma so that you can move forward with more wisdom without shrinking yourself and without devaluing who you are. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave a comment below. Which reason do you think is the most common reason that people avoid being authentic? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Keep shining, and always remember, be you. Your life depends on it. See you in the next video. Bye for now.